This is Shutout Sessions with KyTheGoalie, and today's guest is an absolute legend. He's the guy behind all the awesome content at the TLN and a podcast pro, social media wizard, and all-around ball knower. Let's welcome the calmest genius in the lacrosse world, Kevin Boilard. Welcome to the show, Kevin. How you doing today?
Kai, that's an incredible introduction. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be on the show.
You're an incredible guest. I have to have an incredible intro.
I appreciate that.
All right, let's get right into it. So, when did lacrosse become like more than a sport to you?
So I started playing in 6th grade, and to be honest, I didn't know much about the sport. My mom signed me up. I wasn't super excited about it. I was a huge football guy, but I played every sport. And 7th and 8th grade, going into high school, I found myself falling out of love with every other sport. Not something I'd recommend to every kid out there. Like, definitely cross train. You know, multiple sports will help you get better overall as an athlete. But I found myself, when I was at football practice, all I wanted to do was play lacrosse. Ultimately, in high school, that was all I did year round. And it just consumed me. So that's when I knew.
Like, when did you fall in love with the game? And you're just like, was there a certain moment in a game that you were just like, this is what I want to do?
Yeah. So Kai, for me, I was never the biggest or the fastest kid. And so I played attack, and I quickly realized if I just had better stick skills than everyone else on my team and everyone else that I was playing against, I could separate myself and be a valuable contributor, could be a starter. So I always was a B team guy in football or other sports like that. In lacrosse, I was starting and I was scoring goals, and I was like, this sport rules. I love this. So it was kind of that specialization and the relationship with the stick, that if you can dominate and master that, you can really ascend to super high levels.
We also mentioned in the awesome intro, so you work at TLN. So
Yes.
Was that always the dream to work at TLN or like a lacrosse company like that?
So I used to cover football, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit more. But when I graduated from college in 2013, lacrosse media wasn't where it is today. Like, they had the MLL. I would follow college and stuff, but not like what the PLL made it. And so I think it was in 2021 was when I decided I wanted to make the leap from football to lacrosse. And it took a little bit of betting on myself and finding my way in that world. But eventually, if you keep posting and you stay consistent, people notice you. And that's what happened at TLN. And it was a perfect marriage in the sense that that's where I wanted to be. They wanted my skills, and it's been magic ever since.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what part of your job do you most enjoy? Like editing, writing, being on camera, or just like talking ball with the boys?
I honestly, there is so much I love about all of it. And there's so many elements of the job that's changed even from when I first started a couple of years ago. But I love any chance I get on a microphone and talk lacrosse with my friends. I love that. I also love the opportunity that I get with the league to travel to these events, games, championships, drafts, champ series, stuff like that, where I feel like I'm witnessing a part of history and getting to interact with the stars, all the way to Paul Rabel. It's pretty awesome to have him in your phone, like as a real thing. Like, I could text him if I needed to. All the way to just everyone else who's fighting for a roster spot today. They're all working towards making pro lacrosse the next big thing. And so I have so much appreciation anytime I'm on site and getting to bump shoulders with those guys.
You have so much lacrosse knowledge. Do you just watch a lot of ball, like come naturally, just like love for the game, or do you deep dive into the statistics?
So I try to consume as much as I can. Honestly, there's more lacrosse than any one human could possibly watch. But the good thing about Lacrosse Network is we get a lot of submissions. We get a lot of fans telling us where the great moments are. I always tell Alex Poole, who I know as a member and a friend of the podcast, I would put him and I up there against anybody in the amount of hours of lacrosse watched, especially during college lacrosse season. We're watching all of it. We're trying to, anytime there's a good high school stream, we're tapping in. International right now, there's a tournament, World Lacrosse tournament going on in Europe. We're tapped in. We're watching that. So
international,
yeah,
playing in
yes,
Canada
absolutely.
in August.
That's right. That's right.
So you're the man behind a lot of like TLN's content and stuff like that. What's that responsibility feel like?
It's kind of crazy, Kai. I'm not going to lie. When you're hitting publish and it's going out to over 1 million people, and especially when you see a piece of content that goes super viral, and if it's like controversial or something that sparks debate, one, it's a cool thing. It's a cool feeling that you're creating that conversation and you've found that touch point in the lacrosse zeitgeist that they want to, people are engaging with it. But then there's the flip side of that of like, well, how does this make everyone feel that's involved in this storyline? Like when someone gets their ankles broken and scored on, I know this as a goalie, Kai, probably 90% of the clips you see are guys getting scored on. You probably think there's not enough goalie clips out there. So there's a winner and a loser in every clip. And that's one of the tough things to kind of balance and weigh when you're running an account as large as the Lacrosse Network.
So you also do a lot of things with the Peachtree Pkwy Lacrosse Show.
Yeah.
We know your role as like the ball knower and like kind of like the keep calm when Duke says something outlandish. But like, what's your like role outside of that?
Yeah. That's a good question because that's a little behind the scenes. First of all, awesome that to the level of that I'm allegedly the ball knower. I'm also older than the other guys on the podcast. Mitch and Hoagie, I'm about like 10 years older than them. So I got a lot of wisdom that they don't have. But they got that, obviously played at Ohio State experience, can't compete with that. But outside of that, I would say my role, a large part is to help. Hoagie does a lot of our show outlining, but I try to tell him like, this is what's going to resonate with the Lacrosse Network audience. Like, no one knows that audience better than Alex and I right now. So, whether it's Mitch or Dukes or Hoagie has an interesting idea or a take, we try to kind of like direct it so that it's best presented for the TLN audience and within our show. So I would say that's my role in the show is to kind of give a little bit of structure. And yeah, as you mentioned, the ball knowledge.
What's something people don't realize that goes into the video to make it a good lacrosse video? Like the hook, the ending, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like you mentioned it with the hook, you got to get them in the first 3 seconds. If we're talking short form content, like Instagram, TikTok, Reels, something's got to grab them in the first few seconds. And if you can make them want to watch it again, that's even better. Like mic'd up stuff usually does really well in that regard. I think if you're just telling a good story, which is what we try to do with every post at Lacrosse Network. It could be a simple story that's told through a series of statistics. It could be a quote. It could be something that you didn't know was going on that we found in broadcasts and are bringing it to you on social media. But you got to have a good story and a good hook. And that goes beyond just lacrosse content. I think that goes for any type of content that you're consuming these days.
Yeah, it's all about this like short attention span nowadays. If you don't catch them in like the 2 seconds that they're watching, it's just gonna be
for sure.
Any cool like interviews or projects coming up with the MPLS, TLN, stuff like that we should look out for?
Yeah. So in about a month, we have Play Lax Day coming up. It's August 15th, and I believe this will be 10 years of Play Lax Day. So I don't know how familiar you are, Kai, but we would love to have you do a video, Play Lax Day. It can really be anything. Like the whole idea behind Play Lax Day is just get out and play. Film yourself playing. It doesn't have to be a game. In fact, we prefer it if it's just like you playing wall ball somewhere or you in your yard or something. And the story behind Play Lax Day goes all the way back to like when Colin and Samir were running Lacrosse Network. And originally the incentive was go out, give a stick to a neighbor. I don't know if you've ever heard Paul Rabel's story, but that's his story. Like his friend gave him his backup stick. Now imagine if that friend never gave Paul Rabel his backup stick. You know what I mean? And maybe Paul Rabel's an NFL safety for the Patriots instead of what he is in lacrosse world. But it's the idea behind it is getting that stick in a future athlete's hands and unlocking a whole world of potential for who that person can be as a lacrosse player. So growing the game is the end of the story.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to that day because I'm probably gonna film a video. We're always
I hope you have
outside.
a good idea. I hope you have a big idea for it.
Yeah, sneak peek. We might go to
Okay.
I got a train box because we're going to Canada, and those Canadians don't mess around. We've got it. We'll probably do something with box. When you're doing the Mitchell Pokey Lacrosse show, like before it, do you like prep or like just watch film right before it? You get a fresh mind of lacrosse and you know what to talk about. How do you prep?
Yeah, well, first of all, I watch every game. I'm very lucky that we have a really good team at the PLL led by Joe Keegan, who is always dropping key stats and nuggets. And then I'm just talking to other smart guys like Dukes, Hoagie, and Mitch. In our pre-production calls, we bounce ideas off each other there. And that's where we kind of learn each other's takes and where we learn like what we're going to talk about and what, will probably resonate with the audience. It's funny that you mentioned like my prep work because I do a lot, probably more prep work than anyone else on the show, but I don't look at that as like a badge of honor in any way. That's what I have to do to be able to, contribute to the podcast the way that I can. I can tell you right now, Dukes and I are complete opposite. Dukes is the kind of guy who can roll out of bed, put a hat on, and drop the best take you've ever heard. Like, I don't know how he does it. I say it all the time. It's like he drops in from the sky and just comes with gold every single episode. So that's honestly just a gift. He's got that as a gift. A guy like me, I got to grind and prep a little bit for a smart take.
So put this in your mind. You bump into someone at the grocery store, right? And they've never watched lacrosse before, and they're asked, "What do you do?" And you're like, "I do podcasting, lacrosse podcast, and all this." How do you explain lacrosse as the best sport to someone that's never heard of it?
I always say a few things. I find out if they're a sports fan, and then I find out what their favorite sport is, and then I find the connection that lacrosse has to that sport because there's so many. A lot of times I'll say, looking at a lacrosse game, the players on the field will look like football players from the waist up and soccer players from the waist down. And if you watch basketball, you might recognize the offensive and defensive schemes. And if you're a hockey person, you'll love that there's a stick. So there's a little something in lacrosse for every sports fan. And another big advantage that lacrosse has over a lot of other sports that are kind of in the same area of like maybe not a major four sport, but trying to come up in that area. Lacrosse is what we call a helmet sport. So think football, think hockey, think contact. People are excited by, quite honestly, danger. And it's like, can you believe that guy did that? Can you believe Chris Kavanaugh just dove headfirst into the crease, and scored that goal? I would never do that because it would be so crazy. He, could get laid out doing that. So, that's honestly very appealing to most sports fans, and obviously player safety is important as well. But that's a major part of what sells lacrosse is that it's a helmet sport. It's fast, it's physical, and it's high paced.
What you got any like lacrosse stories from like your high school days, stuff like that? Buzzer beaters, rivalries, like underdog wins.
I don't know. I always like to say I always will talk to my buddies from high school about lacrosse, and I'm always the one that you got to remember. I'm way older now. I'm 34. So like these stories are ancient. We're talking, I was wearing like C Pro. I don't even know if you know what that is, but Google it later. That's the helmet I wore in high school. So we had a pretty good team. And like, to be honest, we won a couple of county championships the first couple of years that my county even had one. And that's like what me and my buddies will always talk about. And like, we'll have those memories for our whole lives. I still remember the score of both of them and all the goals, at least most of the goals, all the goals I scored. But, you never forget those memories. And, just playing every day with those guys in the locker room that you shared, and kind of just knowing like the grind you went through, all those practices. That's what sticks with you and makes you like lifelong friends with a lot of those guys. So overall, it's the friendships and the stories about the wins. The losses, I don't remember them as much.
All right, we got a treat. Next segment is brought to you by ProSlide Sports. Go to ProSlideSports.com and use code KY10 to get 10% off your checkout. Any ProSlide apparel, any pads, anything like that. Let's get right into Rip It or Skip It. Rip it as you like it, skip it as you don't like it. Let's get right into it.
Oh, I'm down.
Slow-mo edits of a missed shot with dramatic music.
I'm going to rip it only if there's a funny ending at the end. You got to have something funny.
Or the opposite, dramatic music with a top left banger.
Yep, of course. Well, that's always going to work.
Ranking freshmen before they've even picked a number.
I'm going to rip it just because I feel like it did get kind of crazy, but now it's going so far the other way that I've said it on the podcast. I wish some of these young cats were already committed and we were talking about them. Instead, we got to wait until they're, going into their junior years, but whatever.
Emotional hype videos of players that just hit the transfer portal.
Yeah, skip it. I don't know if I've seen that yet, but I'm sure they're coming down the pipeline. I don't know. Transfer portal's getting kind of crazy.
Goalie reels, highlight reels with goalies making step down saves and goals.
Oh, definitely rip it. We were talking about this earlier, Kai. We need more goalie highlights out there. I think you need to be the voice of that. You need to be pounding that drum. More goalie highlights.
That's what I'm saying. On TLN, y'all need to bring in some more goalie highlights. We need a Brett Dobson goalie highlight in there. Comment sections that feel like it's just more of an argument than a comment section.
To be honest, Kai, and I'm showing my cards a little bit here, rip it. That means we made a good post. That means we made a post that everyone is divided on the rule book. So as angry as that may get some people, I'm sorry, but that's why we do it.
Defender highlights, highlight reel. That's just them scoring and no actual slap checks or defending moves.
Ooh, wow. This sounds like a personal one. That's tough. I'm going to skip it because I think as cool as it can be, the toe drags, the pole goals, all that. If you're a defender who's worth your salt, you got to be able to take the ball away, and let's see it on the highlight film.
All right. Well, that was Rip It or Skip It. Nice segment. That was one of my favorite segments of the whole podcast. I just love Rip It or Skip It. It's so fun.
I like that.
Where do you think lacrosse media, social media, and stuff like that, where do you think it's going in the future? Do you think it's going to be bigger and better, or do you think it's going to kind of sizzle out?
No, there's no way it's going to sizzle out, Kai. And I'll tell you, what I said earlier, the PLL changed the game when they came into the space in 2018, 2019. And it inspired so many people like me who were content creators for other sports. I was an NFL guy. I was like, I want to get on that wave. I want to ride it because I can see where it's going. And while the NFL was a bigger space and I had a bigger audience at the time, I was really excited about the individual impact I could have potentially growing the game with the content that I make. And so I only see more and more talented lacrosse creators entering the space since I did, and people telling deeper stories than were being told when I entered the space. And honestly, it keeps me on the edge of my seat because I got to stay on the cutting edge. I got to learn to tell those stories, have to continue to improve my skills. So I think that lacrosse media is only going to get more competitive and louder. Players better get used to it because a lot of podcasts popping up. Kai, this one, Mitchell Pelkey show, Stick Talk. I don't know. It's a lot of voices in the room.
Yeah, I like you mentioning shutout session with KyTheGoalie with Stick Talk and Mitchell Pelkey Lacrosse show. What's something lacrosse content is missing that a kid like me could start making?
Honestly, I think what you're doing right now is huge. And I saw you even like, I think it was in Charlotte weekend. You were just like doing interviews with like Ryder Garnsey and Chris Cav like over the fence. I thought that was awesome. I would keep doing things like that. And you do a really good job of like, you clearly listen to Pelkey show. And then when you're mentioned, you clip it out. So you have a really good sense for, turning authentic, organic moments in the lacrosse world, whether they feature you or not, and turning it into content. I would say that's a big one. I think that like the streaming world isn't like huge yet, you know, like I know Mitch did some Pelkey casts last year during the spring. I don't know if you watched any of them, but I think that that's an area where you see streamers are so big now. So if there's some sort of crossover for lacrosse and streaming, I'm not exactly sure what it is, like whether it's watching a game like Mitch was doing or stringing, like a guy who's live streaming, stringing, or their wall ball or whatever. But I just feel like live streaming is huge, and I don't know who's out there in the lacrosse world doing it right now.
Thank you. Thank you for the compliment. First of all, that means a lot coming from you. And, like, from, like, the great mind that you have in lacrosse, like, that means a lot from coming from you. And, yeah, I think live streams are the next big thing. Like, you see, like, Kai Sinat, Ice Show Speed, they're doing all these live streams where they have, like, tens of millions of people in their live, and then they're literally just walking around the city eating food, and they're not even, like, engaging with the chat. And then, like, we put our heart and soul into a video, and then it gets 1,000 views, you know?
So, you're speaking to the choir, man.
I think that is the next big thing. If someone wants to work on lacrosse, like, every single day, like, media, coaching, like, just being an all-around ball knower like you, what's one thing they can do to step up their game?
Well, I will say, like, just being consistent and just being, you know, present in the conversation. If it's honestly tough for me to do it from my personal brand because I'm so busy running Lacrosse Network that I feel like sometimes my personal brand takes a back seat and I'm not as much part of the conversation. But if you're KyTheGoalie, you know, you have every opportunity to be out there with your name attached to what you want to say and what you see. And I think like, the more of that, the better. I think that's the fastest way to do it. You look at Hoagie, and the way Hoagie has taken over lacrosse Twitter in a span of like 6 months is crazy. You know, Dukes really understands social media as well. He is in every conversation. Because
they both, what they do is they both just speak their mind. That's great. That's great for like Twitter and stuff like that, because you just speak your mind during a game, and then you're gonna get a media response because people are sitting on their couch like, what do other people think of this? Like, this is outrageous that what's happening on my screen. They don't know how to express that, so they're gonna express themselves through other people expressing them.
Right. I'm going to retweet James Hogan because he just said exactly what I'm thinking. And yeah, what I call that stream of consciousness tweeting. They've tapped into it. Obviously, with Instagram, TikTok content, it's going to take a little longer to create. So it's a little more thought out by nature. But just keep being out there, you know? Like, even if you have posts that bombs, you can't be like, oh, that post stunk, I'm not posting today, or I'm not posting the rest of the week. You got to get back out there and you got to post something else. And guess what? That post might bomb too. You might have a whole week or a whole month of posts that aren't hitting. And then you just switch up and try something different and it hits again. And you're like, all right, cool. I'm really glad I didn't take that whole month off because at least people saw what KyTheGoalie was doing.
So, like, any advice for people on TLN or that want to be on, like, TLN, PLL, and make lacrosse podcasts like the Mitchell Pelkey Lacrosse Show and Shutout Sessions with KyTheGoalie?
Yeah.
Got any advice for them?
I would say, find the aspect of lacrosse that you love the most and pursue it that way. Like clearly, Kai, you have dove into media and you're doing a great job with it. If your thing is stringing, be the best stringer, find out ways to, get your stuff out there. If you like the instructional stuff, like there's so many buckets that are emerging now in the lacrosse world for whatever that you like or whatever you feel like you specialize in. Like there's even communities, I know you know this, for goalies, communities for Fogos. Start a community, you know what I mean? It could be a local type thing, but find what it is it makes that you love the most about the game and make that your expertise, and then let everyone know that you're the expert at it. And then eventually people are going to want to talk to you because like, who knows more about topic X, Y, or Z than this guy who's been talking about it on his social accounts every single day. Let's talk to him.
All right. This is my other favorite segment on the show. Start, bench, cut. We got a special survival island edition right here. Start, bench, cut. So, put this right here in your mind. We're stranded on a deserted island, right? You have three of your friends. Mitch, Hoagie, and Dudes.
All right. Wow. This is a crazy one. Island survival. I think I got to start Hoagie. We're both from Jersey, so I know that I could trust him. He's got my back. He's very resourceful. He's very prepared for any situation that he's in. He's pretty calm and level-headed like myself. I feel like if we were the only two guys on an island, we could get along quite well. So I'm going to start Hoagie. I'm going to bench Dukes. Just because Dukes, I think he would come through with some crazy idea that would probably get us off the island somehow, but it also might get us killed. So there's only a 50-50 chance of survival if Dukes is on the deserted island with me, just being honest. I got to cut Mitch because honestly, I think he's just going to be looking out for himself probably. I don't know how he'd be on an island if, his hair got messed up and he wasn't able to get a shower. I think he'd probably be in a bad mood.
No.
So I wouldn't want to be around Mitch and that type of, like, he would be without his YouTube filming crew and stuff. I think he'd just be losing his mind. He'd probably feed me to a shark pretty quick.
Huge shout out to Kevin for being on. You've been an amazing guest all day. Where can people find TLN, Mitchell Pkwy Lacrosse Show, and you on social media?
Follow me on Lacrosse Network, at Kevin Boilard on Twitter, at KBoilard on Instagram. See y'all there.
All right. Don't forget, Shutout Sessions with KyTheGoalie is now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks for watching. Follow me on @KyTheGoalie on all social media platforms. This is KyTheGoalie out.